right, so we got Hurricane Agatha here. Hope everybody's having a good rest of your Memorial Day weekend. I do have that meteor shower tonight too, so I'll go over details into that, the best viewing and cloud cover and whatnot and time period. But take a look at tropical update. Hurricane Agatha on the edge of major hurricane status. 110 mile per hour will achieve 115. Well, it's got a narrow window because it will be make landfall Monday evening about 8 p.m. along the South Mexican coastline, traveling inland as a tropical storm throughout your Tuesday as it weakens and almost dissipates by the time it reaches the Yucatan Peninsula. Its energy, though, will be felt the southern Gulf of Mexico and the western Caribbean. Will this form into Tropical Storm Alex or Subtropical Storm Alex? Let's take a look here. All right, so taking a look here, yes, there's that 50% chance here into the orange shading of a potential tropical storm or subtropical storm Alex, or a depression for that matter, throughout the rest of the week. So yeah, we're seeing Agatha, Hurricane Agatha, continuing to plow towards South Mexico here and becoming a tropical storm by at least Tuesday here, and then weakening to a depression or even less as we approach the Yucatan Peninsula here. So we'll have to watch for development here once it gets its energy either into the southern Gulf or the western Caribbean here. All right, so putting this into motion, we're taking a look at the GFS as this system makes landfall along southern Mexican coastline here about 7 to 8 p.m. Monday evening. See how it moves inland there? So we're going to watch. There's going to be several pieces of energy that break up from this system, break off into parts of the southern portion of the Gulf of Mexico and then into the western Caribbean as well. So there's a lot of energy that will continue to entrain into the Gulf of Mexico. You see the GFS is wanting to develop some sort of low here into the western Caribbean. We'll see if that takes root here across the western Caribbean. But for that matter, it remains pretty disorganized. The GFS continuing to remain persistent with the eastern part of the energy, bringing it up towards Cuba as a weak tropical system by Friday, this Friday, June 3rd. And look at that, continuing it towards, it's a bit weaker. It's more of an open wave, but at this point, the closed circulation showing here across just southeast of Florida into the Bahamas. And does it try to make a run towards the U.S. East Coast? Well, now the GFS is taking it peculiarly out to sea here. So, yeah, the steering current's rather weak. The GFS wants to keep it away from the Gulf of Mexico here. So the Euro, let's take a look. Euro making landfall with Agatha pretty much here into the similar location as the GFS. As we head in time here, take a look at this. So the system moves inland, becomes a big rainfall producer here as the GFS depicted. There's that low just slightly further to the south than the GFS had indicated. And as we head throughout the week, there's that area of disturbed weather. It's a tad further north at this point, but look at that. Lots of shower and thunderstorm activity on the eastern end of the Yucatan Peninsula here. And as we head throughout the week, there it is. That's as far out as we can go with the Euro this Friday, June 3rd. But look at this, a broad area of low pressure. The Euro is kind of hinting maybe more subtropical at this point, but we'll see. There's a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity. The Euro is a bit slower, a bit further north and west. So here we go. Thanks to Tropical Tidbits. Take a look at Agatha here. It's looking, in the last couple of frames, it's looking a little bit more symmetrical. It has been having a hard time here. There is, and I'll show you on the water vapor loop, there is evidence that there is some maybe dry continental air trying to feed in. Don't see too much evidence of that this morning. There is a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity wrapping in from the east here. So you can see it hasn't formed that classic eye here. So, still just shy Category 3 status. But, at this point, whether it's a strong 2 or a minimal 3, this is still going to be a powerful system as it moves to the northeast here and makes landfall about 7 to 8 p.m. this evening. And here's the visible satellite picture. Still no eye here on the visible satellite picture. It is a very tight core here that's going to be moving inland, you can see. But at this point, we still don't have an eye as of yet showing. We take a look at the rest of the tropics here. There is Agatha. Here's the big picture. High pressure, literally dead center, right in the middle of the Atlantic here. So as we put this into motion, what are the chances here? The factors that could affect what energy is left out of Agatha. It's interesting to note The GFS is also trying to form another system here to the northeast. By Friday, June 3rd, there's the energy with Agatha. High pressure retreating pretty far to the east here. So this should allow, that's why the GFS is allowing this system to move and ride to the northeast. High pressure pretty much blocking it here from the northern Gulf of Mexico at this point. So as we continue in time here, the flow is to the northeast on the outer periphery of this high pressure system. See this? So yeah, anything that does form at this point, since the steering currents are so weak here in the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to want to take anything here to the northeast, which would take it away from any land areas here along the east coast into the northern Gulf of Mexico. So I'm not ready to say to breathe a sigh of relief here in the northern Gulf and the east coast, but at this point, it's looking rather encouraging that this system, whatever it becomes, is going to slide here off to the northeast, given this flow pattern that we have. And in time, you can see it pretty much, by this point, we have a troughiness kicking across the eastern part of the U.S. This should help accelerate this system to the northeast as high pressure retreating pretty far to the east for this time of year. You know, it's not unheard of, but look at that. And you can see out here, the intertropical convergence zone, it's becoming a little bit further to the north here. So in time, we'll have to watch for any development out here in about another couple weeks here. But as you can see, look at this system. It continues to the north. Oh, this is interesting because, see, this is pretty far out. This is Wednesday, June 8th. But look at this. High pressure starts to wobble and build further westward again. So we may be dealing with this system for quite some time. See how it continues to bend towards the west here? Take this with a grain of salt because steering currents are weak. High pressure starts to retreat again back east. There's going to be a lot of flip-flopping back and forth, but you have two high pressure cells here. You got this trough. Could this system steer back towards the United States? That's what we have to watch for. We could be potentially looking at this system for quite some time. So do not turn your back on this system just yet. And here we go with the sea surface temperature anomalies running still well above average here in the central and southern Gulf, upwards of about 1.5, 1.6, 2.0 Celsius at any given point here, and still very, very warm here where the GFS is indicating another system may develop later on in the week, so we'll have to watch for that along the southeast coast. Still trying to warm up here across parts of the Caribbean. Right, so here's the HWRF hurricane model, bringing it inland. You can see here by tonight, bringing it pretty far inland pretty quickly here into Mexico. So as you can see, we put this into motion. What does the hurricane models want to tend to do with this? Well, they bring it back out over the eastern Pacific. So that is an interesting solution there. The bigger models are not doing that with this system, but you can see it kind of loses track of it here. So if we go to the other hurricane models here, let's take a look and see what happens here. Let's go back to the very beginning. You can see making landfall, and it pretty much kind of loses it until it gets up to this portion. You see where it brings it into the southern Gulf of Mexico. So as I said, this area, southern Gulf into western Caribbean, this is all fair game. We cannot turn our backs on this system just yet because there's a lot of details to iron out here. And we take a look at the rest of the hurricane models. Take a look at this. So we head towards the coastline here, a very strong hurricane making landfall along the South Mexican coastline, bringing it inland here in time. Kind of jumps it all over the place as the energy kind of gets transferred into the western Gulf of Mexico. And by this point, you can see it kind of reemerges it here. This is the Yucatan Peninsula, western Cuba, brings it into the southern Gulf of Mexico by next Saturday, June 4th. And if we take a look, let's see the last, well, this is actually the GFS. And we'll take a look here. So in time, CMC model, bringing it inland and kind of losing it here across central Mexico. All right, so the meteor shower for May 30th tonight into May 31st, the early morning hours, this may or may not occur. There's a reason for that, because if it's moving too fast, or for that matter, it could occur during the day instead, which you wouldn't see anything, obviously. But during the night, if it's moving slow enough, you'll be able to see it tonight, Monday night, into early Tuesday morning. Particularly the lower parts of the sky, there's no general direction that this is going to come out of. It's going to be throughout all of it. But if you you don't have to look directly overhead. It's probably going to be more visible, the lower angles of the sky, whichever direction you look at. So this is probably, if this does occur, about 1,000 shooting stars per hour. That's how intense this could be. So it's probably, if this does occur at any given location, it'll probably be like a once-in-a-lifetime event here. So let's take a look at the night sky cloud canopy that could inhibit you from actually viewing this. All right, so we're taking a look at the meteor shower potential tonight. It could still be a bust. It has to be at the perfect timing between 11 p.m., 3 a.m. That's the optimal time. And hopefully it's moving slow enough that it does target that time instead of when it would happen during the day where we wouldn't see it at all. And as far as the direction of the sky, this is a toss-up too, so you're going to probably want to take a look at all aspects of the sky, but take a look at the cloud cover here for Monday evening into Monday night and into early Tuesday morning. As we approach the evening time, things are not going to be very good here across the northern plains and Rockies, and even the Pacific Northwest for that matter, and parts of the Southeast too. The only section of Florida right around the Orlando area clear enough, but look at this, a lot of clouds even in Southeast Texas here, parts of the plains here with some showers and thunderstorms. We will have that severe weather event up here into parts of Minnesota and then into parts of northern New England here. I don't think these clouds may hinder it a bit, but look at that, most of the mid-Atlantic here clear as a bell, so you will be able to view this pretty readily as we head throughout the night. And look at that, we have some clouds dropping southward across upstate New York, but look at that, for the most part you got a big area here in the east that is clear enough, also the southwest here, but as I said, the northern plains, Rocky Mountains, just a terrible viewing, even into parts of Ontario and Quebec, much of the state of Maine, not a very good viewing for this. There we go, John from Islip, New York, this past Saturday, right over the Memorial Day weekend. Take a look. He had a severe thunderstorm moving through the area. You can see the wind starting to pick up, the rain falling at an angle here. So take a look at that. Severe thunderstorms. We will have another shot at severe thunderstorms on Wednesday of this week. So if you're across the Northeast, this might be more of a picture that will be reminiscent everywhere across the Northeast. All right, so water vapor loop is showing that big old classic comma here across the northern plains. That's where we're going to be dealing with snow back to the west here in the northern Rockies and severe weather up here into Minnesota and Iowa as we head throughout the day. Drier air working its way here into the southeast, but look at this. This is interesting. We have a lot of moisture plume from what is Agatha, and look at this. This is pretty persistent off the southeast coast of Florida. We'll have to watch that. An infrared satellite photo looking pretty nasty up here in the north central part of the plains here. This is where we're going to be dealing with all that severe weather. And there we go. Look at that. Southern part of Gulf of Mexico off the Florida coast here. Definitely an area to watch the next several days. Look at that. Clear as a bell, though, across much of the southeast and into the northeast here. We do have some cloudiness here dropping across upstate New York into New England with this warm front that's trying to push through, but that should subside and head east, and you will clear out and have a pretty warm day here, well into the 90s across parts of the mid-Atlantic. All right, so as we head in time here, we're dealing with high pressure across the east here as we head throughout the rest of your Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend. Severe thunderstorms really propagating up towards the upper Midwest here, but what happens in time here as we head towards, there it is, Tuesday? You'll have more severe weather. See some of these cells here in the Midwest and into parts of the Central Plains. High pressure retreating to the east along the U.S. East Coast. Now look what starts happening early Wednesday. You get some of these big complexes dropping out of Canada, and these will have a tendency to drop across upstate New York, Pennsylvania, and New England, and then another area of strong to severe thunderstorms here across the southern plains. As we go in time here, see that complexes form? Yeah, we're going to be dealing with a severe weather day all across this region. So from the southern plains all the way up to upstate New York, western New England, we will be in the thick of it. Damaging wind, I think, is going to be the main threat here across the Northeast, and we'll see if we can get into any of those mesoscale models. It might be too early to get into those, but see, as we get into Thursday, it becomes more of a washout here across parts of the mid-Atlantic. So as we head throughout the afternoon and early evening hours of your Memorial Day itself, look at that. There is that strong thunderstorm line. This is basically simulated radar at this point, but look at this. Western part of Minnesota, western Iowa, definitely going to be a dangerous situation here. Look at this. This forms pretty much a solid squall line throughout the night here. So these are going to be nocturnal, and some of these could spin up tornadoes. And finally, it starts to weaken as we approach sunrise tomorrow morning. We follow that squall line here across the Midwest parts of the Central Plains throughout the day on Tuesday, and that will form some secondary thunderstorms clusters here, not as strong initially, but back towards the west here. And as we head throughout the day on Tuesday, that squall line starts to re-solidify here and approaching Chicago, just south of Kansas City here. We could be dealing with more severe weather as we head throughout Tuesday. And then Wednesday, you can see, we'll shift that to the northeast. Let's zip the time period along here. Take a look. I'll leave you with that last frame. This is the telltale signs of what we could have a big thunderstorm complex develop here. Take a look at that. Sometimes these complexes that form and drop out of southern Ontario, they will be pushing to the south here. And as they kind of take that right turn, we'll have to watch out for some strong to severe thunderstorms upstate New York, Pennsylvania, western New England for later Wednesday, particularly between 3 and 10 p.m. So the big story is going to be the heat here into the northeast. Look at this. An area approaching the 90s here. Look at that. Boston, low to mid 90s. Binghamton, Syracuse, Albany, New York City you might be mid to high 80s here. The marine layer might save you just a little bit. But look at this inland here. Plenty of 90s to be had here. And as we put this into time, we head into Wednesday, daytime maximums. That retreats just a bit here as we get some northeast winds, marine layer. But look at this, 90s building across interior parts, New York, Pennsylvania. Look at that down into portions of Virginia. All right, so I did want to mention this. There's a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms across Minnesota here. This is not looking good for the rest of your Memorial Day, and that is a pretty high risk there of tornadoes, 15% there in the red hatched region. So if we get into day 2, that stretches to the east here across the central and southern plains into parts of the southern Great Lakes, Chicago, down to Oklahoma City. And as we get into day 3 here, this is the area I was noting across the northeast, especially later in the day. We could be looking at strong to severe thunderstorms, damaging wind, large hail likely. Susquehanna weather. Upper Susquehanna River Valley from Binghamton to Scranton, Tuesday through Saturday. Take a look at this. Hot as a firecracker on Tuesday, heading up to 94. Very hazy, hot, and humid. And look at that. Wednesday, we approach severe weather day, particularly from 3 to 10 p.m., heading up towards 88 degrees, damaging wind, large hail. The main threat will be damaging wind gusts, however. It will be rather warm, upper 80s. Into Thursday, we clear it out. Windy conditions behind that cold front, 74, feeling much cooler, less humid. Into Friday and Saturday, a beautiful weekend shaping up here with temperatures rising to the upper 70s. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern and Hurricane Eastern. Take a look at my Facebook pages at Meteor, also Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern. Also for my local viewers, if you want just Binghamton to Scranton weather, upper Susquehanna River Valley, Susquehanna weather on Facebook. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, MediaMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com. And there is a link to my Hurricane 2022 Outlook. If you haven't already viewed that, go ahead and view it. I give a whole synopsis of the entire hurricane season.